Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be doing a review on these Touch of the Gloves 1 Series boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so today we're going to do a close-up weigh-in and review on these Touch of the Gloves 1 Series training gloves. These are actually manufactured by Fuji Sports. These are made in Pakistan. And these have more of a Thai style profile to them. So you can see it has a little bit more of a stockier, wide profile with the shorter cuff. Obviously Thai style gloves are shorter in stature for the flexibility, especially for clinching. And they also introduce a little bit more padding on the palm side, especially on the thicker part of your hand on the outside edge for strikes that you're going to parry, and a little bit more padding on the palm. It does use a synthetic outside casing, which is probably made out of polyurethane or a blend. You also have a Tricot inner liner. And the main color here obviously is going to be this light gray with the shade of the dark gray that gives it kind of a contrast, which says Touch of the Gloves. Vertically written right there, and has more of a satin sheen to it in terms of the look of the synthetic. The padding on here is definitely more on the dense side. It's not rock solid, but it's definitely on the denser side. So it actually surprisingly does a really nice job of protecting your hands, as well as giving you some good pop. And the hand compartment is really comfortable. You have those two gloves right there, look like MMA gloves on the back of the strap. And there it is, black piping, ventilated holes on the palm, as well as on the thumb. You also have this attached thumb right here. And just to show you guys the consistency, a little bit of bubbling right there, but not a huge deal. I've used these several times in my rotation. Some nicks kind of showing right there. But overall, a pretty cool looking glove. Probably the best feature, in my opinion, for as long as I've used them is going to be the comfort. So let's go ahead and put these on the scale. These are 14 ounces. And let's see if they're true to weight. So let's go ahead and do the right glove. Right glove is right at 14.8, so about a hair under an ounce over on the right glove. And the left glove is at 14.5, so a half ounce to almost an ounce overweight, which is not a bad thing. I mean, again, for training gloves, I know I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm not too concerned with the weight unless it's dramatically over or under. But if it is not accurate, I prefer the weight of gloves to be a little bit over, because at least then I feel like I'm getting a little bit more of a glove for my money rather than a lighter glove for conditioning purposes. But there you have it. Let's go ahead and do the review. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on these Touch of the Gloves 1 Series boxing gloves. It currently comes in just this one color scheme, which is kind of a combination of a light gray as well as a dark gray. It is a 14 ounce only glove with a Velcro closure. I'm hoping that they come out with other sizes down the road, as well as maybe a lace-up closure, which would be nice. Touch of the Gloves is a company that's relatively new, that's based out of Caldwell, New Jersey. And they make different types of combat streetwear, so clothing and apparel, as well as some combat equipment like these boxing gloves that I have here. So I received these maybe about a month, actually I'd say about a month and a half ago, and I've been having these in my rotation, using them for sparring, bag work at the gym. So I have a pretty good idea of how these gloves perform. And the first thing that struck me when I first got these gloves was that they had more of a Thai style glove design, meaning that the glove is a little bit more wider looking on the actual hand pocket, a little shorter and stockier, with a rounded Velcro strap around the wrist. So what that basically does is it gives you a little bit more flexibility for those that are into kickboxing or Thai style kickboxing. You have a little bit more flexibility for clinching. And the other feature is that you also have more padding on the palm area, obviously to parry and to block strikes, especially since you're dealing with more obviously kicks, knees, elbows, of that sort. Now, as far as traditional boxing gloves go, these are actually a really solid boxing glove. So if you're looking to use these for, your regular training, hitting the bag, doing some sparring, I definitely would recommend these as well. However, do keep in mind, it's not going to have the same level of wrist support that you're going to get with a traditional boxing glove. So if you don't mind that, then by all means, I would give these a shot. But I'll break down kind of the quality, the design, and then obviously the comfort is going to be the big thing with this glove. And then eventually it's going to be the cost. So first, looking at the gloves, you have the split color design. You have this lighter gray. It is a synthetic leather material. Has more of a kind of a tacky feel to it with a satin finish. Probably is a form of polyurethane that they use on this exterior of the glove. Now it does say touch of the gloves vertically written on the back of the glove over the darker gray with the contrasting color. You also have this full wraparound Velcro strap, and on the back of the strap you have black piping, and you have these two kind of like MMA gloves facing each other. The design to me looked okay. I feel like it could have been done a little bit more, I don't say professional, but to me it just looks really basic, really plain and basic, and I feel that the branding could have been done much more, just better. I feel like the logo itself is a little bit too long. Maybe, you know, integrated some kind of design in there that would have made it a little bit more professional. And just kind of those two MMA gloves looks like just something that you can kind of find off the internet and that you just kind of put on there. So again, it's not a bad thing necessarily. I just don't think it looks as clean as it could look or representative of the company branding, in my opinion. So I feel that definitely could be improved. But you do have a 3.5-inch Velcro strap. It does have a rounded cuff for the wrist support. I'd say that it has about almost a 1/2 inch of medium density padding that rolls around your hand with a tricot liner on the inside. And I believe these gloves are made in Pakistan. When you look at the label, you do have the 14-ounce tag, but there is no actual label to indicate where these are made. So my best assumption is probably going to be Pakistan. Now, rolling it over, like I showed you guys earlier in the close-up of the gloves, these are actually made by Fuji Sports. So this is the company that actually made these gloves for Touch of the Glove. So it's almost like a collaboration in terms of the glove branding. So you have Fuji, that's written right there, or should I say that's stitched on there with a cloth patch. Black piping, you can see how it kind of rolls around like a traditional tie style glove. You have double stitching. This padding right here on the outside is maybe about 3/4 of an inch of medium density padding. And again, that's going to be so you can block and parry strikes with that. And you also have a softer density padding right here where the ventilated holes are at. And I'd say about 1/4 of an inch of padding right there. Ventilated holes on the thumb. You also have an attached thumb right there, and a fairly large grip bar as well. So there you have it. I mean, there's nothing to this glove as far as design, you know, nothing too crazy. Only logos you have is the one on the back as well as on the Velcro strap, and then the Fuji Sports logo right here that's stitched onto the inner part of the Velcro strap. Now, quality-wise, these gloves are solid. I'd say that the biggest opportunity would be the stitching, and obviously synthetic. Not a lot of people, you know, are fans of synthetics. They're starting to advance more now, where you're finding a lot more synthetic gloves that are more durable and that have a better feel and just a thickness to them. But these are synthetic gloves, so I wouldn't necessarily that's a bad or a good thing. It's just an alternative to genuine leather gloves. But you can see some of the stitching on the outside edges right here where the back of the glove meets the front. You can see starting to pull away at some of that material. The symmetry of the stitching on the grip bar, as well as on the palm side, the piping, where the insert of padding is at, looks all really good. The perforated holes are all punched out on the thumb as well. You can see the seam is done pretty well. Inside where the finger meets the material right there, some stitching that's starting to pull away at the material on this part, but the actual material itself, this synthetic leather that they use, is done really nicely, all tucked in good. And then the actual foam padding, you can see it's starting to have a couple of small little bumps right there, and that's going to be mainly on the striking surface. And this has a kind of a firmer foam to it that they use, which is a multi-layer foam. You can see the back of the glove. You have a little bit of slack with the material over the foam, which is pretty common, especially for synthetic gloves. I find that you'll see quite a bit of slack in certain synthetic gloves, just the way it is, because they have to place the foam inside of the actual pre-cut, or should I say the pre-stitched outer casing. So there you have that. And then you also have this Velcro strap, which actually looks pretty good. No issues there. Piping looks pretty clean. The Velcro is nice and grippy. And the inside liner looks good, stitched in pretty nicely, no exposed foam or rips. So that looks all pretty good. Balance wise, these gloves, like a lot of Thai gloves, are going to be a little bit more on the top heavy side, which is, it's pretty normal. I mean, you get that because you have such a more of a flexible hinge point right here, right there. So that's why I mentioned earlier, if you're going to use these for kind of a traditional boxing gloves, you can, but if you do have wrist injuries or have issues with your wrist, then I would probably recommend shying away from these, just because you do have a lot more play in regards to this wrist area right here. Or if you are, intent on using these gloves, then at least tape your wrist off before you start using them to give yourself extra support. So there you have it. Now, comfort-wise, sliding your hand in here is what really surprised me. Was these gloves are extremely comfortable. If you're looking for a Thai glove that you want has a little bit more of a broken in feel, doesn't feel as stiff as a traditional Thai glove, and just has a really comfortable hand compartment, then these are definitely a good solid choice. One thing I noticed is the liner is really nice and comfortable, no bunching up. It has an excellent thumb, probably one of the best thumbs I felt for this type of glove. Nice and long where it keeps your thumb nice and parallel, no jamming at the top, so it has a good amount of depth. You also have a good amount of foam padding on the back of the thumb to protect it. And you can also see that it doesn't allow the actual thumb, connected thumb doesn't allow the thumb to come out too far out, so you don't end up stabbing anybody in the eye with that if you're to use these for sparring. And it has a pretty good amount of flexibility in opening and closing your palm, which is really nice. I love the comfort and the extra padding that you get on the outside part of your palm right there, as well as on the inner part of your palm. And the wrist support, for a Thai style glove, does a really nice job of locking in your wrist. Finger compartment is nice and deep. You can see that my fingertip is right there as I wiggle it around. So you can actually see that it has a good amount of depth and a piece of neoprene that covers that stitching. So great depth with the glove. I didn't find any discomfort with these, even with hand wraps on. One thing that's a little deceiving with these gloves is that it does have a kind of a wider profile, at least from the exterior of the glove. But when you actually put your hand in here, it does fit nice and snug. Not too tight, but perfect size, and it conforms to your hands even when you have hand wraps on. It does a good job of kind of adapting to the shape of your hand as well as the wraps that you're using. So excellent size as far as the hand compartment. I'm just hoping that they come out with other sizes and maybe color schemes as well. That way we have more variety to choose from. Protection and performance. Now this is definitely more of a denser multi-layer foam padding, so you get a good amount of crack out of it. One thing I do, that I'm not a huge fan of is that the punching surface on this is a little bit more rounder. So it's taken me a little longer for me to kind of break these in terms of kind of flattening out this punch surface, and that's just my own personal preference. But you can see that the punch surface on this is a little bit more rounded. So I felt that there's a few times where I was throwing some shots and the shots ended up being kind of more of like a glancing blow because the gloves will kind of ricochet off the surface. So I feel that once I start to really even break these in even more, the padding will start to kind of soften up and the surface on here will be a little bit flatter. But you can see that it has a pretty good amount of punch surface itself. It's just that it's a little bit more rounded out, but it definitely does a really nice job of absorbing shock. So if you're looking for a glove that does a really good job of protecting your knuckles, then these would be a good choice for that. As far as feedback goes, they're not too bad. If we're looking for something more, a little bit softer, maybe that has like horsehair that you can feel your knuckles really sink in with, then these probably wouldn't be what you're looking for in terms of feedback and pop, but they definitely do a good job of protecting your hands, especially over your knuckles. The only thing I wish it was improved, it was just a little bit more of a flat punch surface rather than this kind of rounded off surface on here. Cost-wise, these gloves are $69, which is not bad as far as pricing goes. I mean, if you were to look at this, considering your other options out there, it's, I would say, a little bit more on the high side, considering that one is a relatively unknown brand. It is synthetic. There's a couple small opportunities with the glove, but I feel that the comfort kind of makes up for that. I feel it's a really comfortable Thai style glove. So you're kind of right in that sweet spot at $69. I mean, I feel like this glove is maybe like a $50-ish kind of glove. You're limited to only 14 ounces and just this one color option. So you're kind of limited in that regard, which some people may not be a fan of. So I'd say around $50, these would be definitely a really good solid glove for those of you that are looking for this style. $69 isn't bad, but I definitely think it can come a little bit lower, because once you're at the $70 mark, now you're really kind of considering $75, $80, even $100. And that's when you really open Pandora's box in terms of like what gloves are available at that budget and price range. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. As usual, I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Touch of the Gloves 1 Series boxing gloves. See you guys next time. Peace.